though it isn't at the right WrestleMania, though some other things could be changed, it is Shawn Michaels versus Bret the Hitman Hart. 60-minute Ironman match. The fact of the matter is, I know I've said it in other videos that WrestleMania isn't just about the matches that everyone remembers, it's about the matches that some have forgotten. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes we gotta go back to the ones that everyone remembers. HBK with a springboard moonsault off the apron to the outside onto Bret the Hitman Hart. Big scoop and a slam on the outside by HBK. We got 59 minutes. This match is gonna be something to write home about because it has been almost 2 years. I mean, it's been over 2 years, almost 3 years, since the last time I did an Ironman match in a WWE video game. And the last one was Finn Balor versus Tyler Bate in their never-ending series. So this one has the historical significance a hell of a lot more than the other one did. Bret is now taking it to Shawn, isolating the Heartbreak Kid. Calmly breaking down Shawn Michaels is Bret the Hitman Hart. But Bret takes a moment to get outside the ring and gets slammed on the out. Fujiwara armbar. Oh no, I thought it was a Fujiwara armbar, but it was actually a crossface. But either way, it was a rope break by the Heartbreak Kid for the Heartbreak Kid. Elbow. It's gonna take me a minute to get comfortable because honestly, I don't do this enough to be as comfortable as I used to be. As these two are trading rights and lefts, Bret Hart got blocked by the Heartbreak Kid. I mean, you gotta say it's early and often for these two to be trading soup bones. But the hatred that these two have for one another, it is not surprising that it's happening now. It is not surprising that it's happening at all because of the hatred these two have for one another. As Bret goes low, a boot to the gut. Pile driver by the Hitman. We know what comes next. We know what Bret is setting up for. We know that Bret is setting up for the sharpshooter. Shawn drew him in, but Bret countered him. Softening up Shawn's knee for the sharpshooter is unquestionably what Bret Hart is trying to do. Bret is trying to pull Shawn away from the ropes. Shawn again drew Bret in. This time he countered him with a small package. But Bret kicked out at the count of 1.5. Crossbody by the Heartbreak Kid. Takes down the Hitman. But Bret gets right back up. Big back body drop by the Hitman. Down goes the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn kicks out at the count of 2.5. Almost a 3. Almost a surprise first pinfall by the Hitman. Taking down the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn's bringing himself into the corner. Shawn boosts himself out of the corner. Basement dropkick avoided. Bret with a solid forearm to the back. Shawn gets brushed off. Bret hits the crossbody. Ladder press. Quick kick out by the Heartbreak Kid. Big drop kick. Into the ropes goes the Hitman. Bret reverses him. Right now it's been all Bret the Hitman Hart. But Shawn blocks Bret. Sweet chin music. Sweet chin music. Shawn crawls into the cover. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Shawn crawls into the cover. But Bret kicks out at the count of 2.5. Bret kicks out at the count of 2.5. Into the ropes goes the Hitman, but the Hitman counters the Heartbreak Kid again. Shawn counters him back. Swinging neckbreaker by the Heartbreak Kid as Bret rolls himself to the outside. Tope Suicida by Shawn Michaels. Tope Suicida by Shawn Michaels. As Bret and Shawn are on the outside. Shawn sends Bret back into the ring. Scoop. Slam by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn's going up top. Bret moved. Shawn was looking for the elbow, but Bret moved out of the way. Shawn was looking for the elbow, but Bret moved out of the way. Shawn blocks the Hitman again. Crossbody. Bret blocks Shawn. Shawn. Sharpshooter. 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 But is he too close to the ropes? Yes, in fact, Shawn Michaels is too close to the ropes. Shawn Michaels is too close to the ropes. Enziguri takes down the Hitman. Enziguri takes down the Hitman. Shawn's going up top. Crossbody off the top by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn is measuring the Hitman. Shawn is measuring Bret Hart. Sweet chin music. But Shawn can't capitalize. Shawn can't capitalize. Shawn is crawling again to Bret Hart. Shawn's going up top. Elbow, but Bret moved. Again, Bret Hart moved. Again, Bret Hart moved. Bret got Shawn. Pile driver. Pile driver. Pile driver. Let her press. Shawn kicked out at the count of 2.5 once again. Shawn kicked out at the count of 2.5 once again. But I'm not sure that Shawn is going to be able to kick out of this one because Bret... No! Shawn blocked him. Shawn blocked him. He chops down the cherry tree that is the Hitman. Up top. Shawn Michaels. Hurricane Rana. Hurricane Rana out of the corner. Shawn went for the Irish Whip, but Bret sends him over the top rope. These two are going to the outside. The hatred that these two men have for each other, you'd be lucky if the arena is enough to counteract the hatred these two have for one another. As Bret again counters the Irish Whip from the Heartbreak Kid. As Shawn goes into the barricade. Bret is waiting for the Heartbreak Kid to get back up. Taking a moment to regain his composure. Taking a moment to keep his head balanced. Because in a match like this, that is exactly what you need to do. You need to do everything you possibly can to keep your head balanced as the Heartbreak Kid brings Bret Hart to the outside. A big suplex to the floor. Down goes Bret Hart. Shawn and the Hitman Shawn Michaels dropped face first. Shawn was dropped face first on the apron. Shawn was dropped face first down on the apron. The hardest part of the ring. Belly to back suplex by Bret Hart. The blood is flowing freely on the foreheads of both Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels as Bret Hart gets himself back into the ring. We are now 10 minutes. 10 minutes has elapsed. Shawn has got to get himself back into the ring. Count out. Bret Hart uncharacteristically took the count out. Bret Hart uncharacteristically took the count out. I am actually surprised that Bret took the count out against Shawn Michaels and didn't break the count to get the pinfall on the Heartbreak Kid instead of the count out. Shawn has got business to handle. He's got business to take care of as he sends Bret into the barricade. But Bret sends Shawn back into the ring. I think it's pretty obvious here what Shawn wanted, as what Shawn wanted was the opportunity to get Bret counted out, like Bret had the opportunity to get Shawn counted out. Bret is trying to get Shawn to submit to the abdominal stretch. Bret is trying to get a 2-0 lead on the Heartbreak Kid. But Shawn is fighting out of the abdominal stretch. Takes Bret over with a hip toss. Bret. Spinning pile driver by the Hitman. Takes down Shawn Michaels. And Shawn is down 2-0 to Bret Hart. Shawn is down 2-0 to the Hitman. It is going to be 3 because Bret Hart just locked on the... No! Rope break again! The second time that rope break has saved Shawn Michaels. Shawn just popped up. The last time Bret Hart tried to put in the sharpshooter. Rope break saved the Heartbreak Kid. Fisherman suplex. Lateral press. And Bret kicked out at the count of 2.5. Bret kicked out at the count of 2.5. Shawn is now tuning up the band. Shawn is tuning up the band. Sweet chin music. But Bret, he found a second wind. Bret found a second wind and counteracted the Heartbreak Kid. It is still early, so that is not uncharacteristic because Shawn took long enough in between delivering the super kick and in between delivering the super kick and going for the lateral press that it gave Bret the opportunity to kick out. Speaking of kicking out, Shawn went for the sit-out power, delivered the sit-out powerbomb, and again, Bret Hart kicked out. Bret was sent hard into the corner. Over the top rope goes the Hitman from the Heartbreak Kid. In a sight you'd only see in a WWE video game, Shawn Michaels drops Bret Hart with a pile driver on the outside. This is something that I don't always see, but blood is going to be staining the rampway. Side Russian leg sweep by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn is trying to get Bret. No! Bret blocked the sweet chin music. Bret blocked the sweet chin music. Bret blocked the sweet chin music. Shawn is trying to get Bret counted out. Shawn is trying to get Bret counted out, and he might actually get Bret counted out. He might actually get Bret counted out as Bret is getting up. But Bret gets counted out. Shawn gets one back and dives to the outside, almost instantaneously taking out the Hitman. But Bret sends Shawn back into the ring, countering the Irish Whip again. And in my opinion, Shawn needs to stop Irish Whipping the Hitman, because every single time it seems like he does it, Bret counters him. Bret is going for the sharpshooter, and I don't think Shawn's going to be saved this time. I don't think Shawn's going to get saved this... He got saved! Shawn got saved! Shawn got saved again for rope break. Shawn got saved again with rope break. Shawn Michaels got saved again via rope break. Shawn takes down Bret with a fisherman suplex. Shawn takes down Bret with a fisherman suplex. Shawn is measuring the Hitman. He wants him to get back up. Flying forearm. Vintage Shawn Michaels. Shawn is tuning up the band. He nails Bret with the sweet chin music. He nailed Bret with the sweet chin music. But again, Shawn can't capitalize immediately. He crawls for the cover. Are we going to have a tie? Yes. We got ourselves a tie. And we're also going to have ourselves a blood-stained mat by the end of this contest between Shawn Michaels and the Hitman. Bret drew Shawn in. Shawn blocks Bret. Drop down. Look at the comparison. I just gotta say, look at the comparison. Bret has been targeting equally every single solitary body part of the Heartbreak Kid. And Shawn has been targeting two body parts, to be specific. The back and the head of the Hitman. But Bret Hart has been targeting every single body part he can, hyperextending the knee of the Heartbreak Kid. And now, I mean, ask and ye shall receive. Bret just went after the arm and the knee. As I mentioned, Shawn getting targeted. Shawn's body parts being targeted. Bret rolls himself to the outside to create some distance. I can't imagine the exhaustion. I can't imagine what these two are going to feel after this matchup, as two inverted atomic drops are enough to take down Bret the Hitman Hart. But the reality of the situation is Shawn Michaels should not, I repeat, should not try and go hold for hold with the Hitman, because he will lose if he attempts to go hold for hold with the Hitman. But I will say it would be something if Shawn Michaels gets a submission win in this Ironman matchup before Bret Hart does. It would be something if Shawn Michaels gets a submission win before Bret Hart does in this contest, because Bret Hart has yet to get a submission victory, which is something that I don't think anybody would have thought would have taken him this long, because it is Bret Hart we're talking about. Back to the inverted atomic drops. You gotta say that doesn't feel good, getting your knee, getting your groin dropped on somebody's knee, but it also probably doesn't feel good from the wind getting knocked out of you standpoint either, as now we are at 20 minutes elapsed as Bret Hart is introduced to the steel steps for the first time this matchup. I think Shawn was thinking about something. I think Shawn Michaels was thinking about something, but he heard the referee and got himself back into the ring instead. Dragon screw leg whip takes down Bret Hart, making this match as historically accurate as possible as Shawn went for the inverted atomic drop one too many times. Is Bret gonna get it? Is Bret gonna get it? And I think Bret Hart, he got it. Shawn was too far away from the ropes, and Bret Hart got his first submission victory against Shawn Michaels in this Ironman matchup. It only took 20 minutes to do it. Honestly, I think both men are staining the mat with blood at this point, but it is hard to tell who's who and what's what because, well, frankly, it's hard to tell that because of the fact that Bret Hart has been bleeding for half the match, it feels like. As Shawn Michaels falls down 2 again. Shawn Michaels falls down 2 again. But Shawn gives Bret a taste of his own medicine, dropping him with a pile driver. Bret with a possum pin. Bret with a roll up. But Shawn has his composure enough. Shawn has his composure enough to not falter, as you might say. But the abdominal stretch, is Bret going to get another submission victory over Shawn Michaels? Is he going to get another submission win? Bragging rights, to say the least, for the Hitman. Bragging rights, to say the least. But Shawn is fighting. And Shawn fights out of the abdominal stretch. Bret tying him up like a pretzel. His father would be proud. Shawn went for the sweet chin music, but Bret blocked him. Excuse me. Shawn went for the sweet chin music, but Bret blocked him. And I think Shawn may have it in his head with the few times that he's went for the elbow. Every time he's went for the elbow, Bret has moved. But the times that he's gone for the flying forearm, that hasn't happened. But Bret swooped in, caught him off guard, and dropped him. Shawn blocked him. I think Bret was going for the sharpshooter, but Shawn blocked him. You can tell where most of this match has taken place, as most of this match has taken place on one side of the ring as opposed to the other two. Or two sides of the ring as opposed to the other two. Big powerbomb right in the middle of the ring by the Heartbreak Kid. And now he's trying to tune up the band as we are approaching 25 minutes elapsed. And Shawn drops Bret with the super kick. Shawn drops Bret with the super kick. Shawn crawls over into the cover. It is possible that Shawn has taken too much time. But it's also possible that Shawn had just the right amount of time. He takes down Bret. Shawn is trying for it. But Bret has too much will and determination. And not even will and determination. He has too much in him to let Shawn Michaels get him to submit. Shawn fought out of the corner. Bret knocked him back into the corner. Alley-oop powerbomb by Bret Hart. Alley-oop powerbomb by Bret Hart, and Bret Hart's doing it. Bret Hart is doing it. Bret Hart Bret Hart, the sharpshooter. The sharpshooter is locked in again. Bret's going for another one. Shawn kicked out. Shawn kicked out. Bret is breaking down the body and the mind of the Heartbreak Kid, slowly but surely, as Shawn rolls himself to the outside. Bret doesn't give him a second to rest, as the Hitman does what he does, nailing Shawn with a tope suicida. Bret went for, I'm guessing Bret was going for the pile driver on the outside. Shawn nails the inverted figure four. Shawn locks in the inverted figure four. Speaking of the inverted figure four, he's going for the regular figure four. He wants Bret to submit on the outside. He wants Bret to submit on the outside. But Bret doesn't even let him get it fully connected. And also, it's like I said, Bret has too much will and determination at this point in time to let Shawn Michaels get a submission on him. Bret Hart would never let himself live it down if he submitted to the Heartbreak Kid. That's how low he thinks of Shawn Michaels. But Shawn kicks out and Bret can't believe it. Shawn kicks out and Bret can't believe it. Shawn catches Bret off guard. Let her press. And Shawn gets the roll-up. Let her press. Shawn gets the pinfall. Bret gets the crossbody. Shawn scores the pinfall, but Shawn is still one down on the Hitman. It's not every time where Bret Hart gets it. Bret brushes off the dropkick. Because eventually Shawn's going to learn what to expect and not going to let Bret Hart secure the sharpshooter every single time. But Bret is going to make it very easy for himself. Shawn somehow, some way, with that little sliver of hope, found a way to kick out. With the little sliver of hope, he found a way to kick out. Shawn's not going to let Bret get the opportunity. He's going for the sweet chin music. He's going for the sweet chin music. Are we going to have a tie? I think so. We have a tie as we are approaching 30 minutes left. 30 minutes gone, 30 minutes to go. As we are at 28 minutes left, 28 minutes now, but we are approaching 30 minutes left and 30 minutes to go. Somehow Shawn missed. Somehow Shawn missed the elbow. Shawn takes Bret down. Shawn Michaels is not going to let it go. He wants to get a submission win over the Hitman. Some way, somehow, he wants to get Bret to submit. At some point in this matchup, he wants Bret down for the 1, 2, 3. He wants Bret tapping the mat. He doesn't just want him down for the 1, 2, 3. Back to the powerbomb by the Heartbreak Kid. Bret moved out of the way. Shawn knocks him back down. And goes for the figure four, this time in the ring. But I think Bret might be too close to the ropes. Again, Bret doesn't let him get it on. As Shawn, we saw up close and personal the look of Shawn Michaels' face. You see the blood pouring out freely on the forehead of the Heartbreak Kid. Right now, Shawn is not staying in the mat, which is surprising in my opinion. He reversed him! He reversed him, but both men go down! He reversed him and both men go down! Shawn is crawling. Inverted figure 4. Honestly, if this was real life, the match would have had to have been stopped because of blood loss, because Bret Hart's blood is staining the ring and the rampway and the outside. The amount of blood that Bret Hart has lost is incredible, especially because of the fact that Shawn, he's got the Crimson Mask. He's got the Crimson Mask, to say the least, and it's not left his forehead. It's not stained the mat yet, to my knowledge, because if they're outside, down on the outside, as I will also bring a point now, 30 minutes elapsed, 30 minutes to go in this 60-minute Ironman matchup between two of the very best. Another Wrestlemania Recall. As now Shawn Michaels is just throwing Bret from one side to the other. I feel like he's just playing with his food here. Or what it could be, God's honest truth, Shawn might not be aware that he's throwing Bret Hart that far. You know, he might not be aware how far he's throwing Bret Hart. And he might think he's throwing Bret Hart against the ropes, but he's actually throwing him into the... You know what I mean? Like the tiredness that Bret is feeling. The exhaustion that Bret is feeling. As Shawn hits the sweet chin music again. Shawn is not going for the letter of press. Even though I highly doubt Bret would have kicked out, Shawn is going for everything. Shawn Michaels is going for everything, and he counted his chickens before they hatched. He counted his chickens before they hatched. As Bret countered him. Bret countered him. But Bret is now back on the outside. And instead of letting him recover, Shawn takes his time getting to the floor. Fisherman suplex on the outside by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn uncharacteristically sends Bret back into the ring. The amount of time that these two men have spent on the outside, you would have thought that they would have been okay with spending a little time outside the ring as Shawn lays in some rights. Elbow strike by Shawn Michaels. Bret counters him. I don't know what Shawn was going for there, but Bret countered him. DDT. Shawn counters Bret again, blocking the sharpshooter. Honestly, with the amount that Bret has been bleeding in this matchup, it reminds me of when Bret fought Roddy Piper in Indiana. At WrestleMania 8. Big suplex off the top rope by the Heartbreak Kid. Big suplex off the top by the Heartbreak Kid, and Shawn Michaels is looking for the opportunity. He's looking for the sweet chin music. As 35 minutes are approaching, 35 minutes elapsed, and Shawn drapes his arm across the chest of the Hitman. And for the first time in this matchup, for the first time in the last 35 minutes, Shawn Michaels has the lead. For the first time in this matchup, Shawn Michaels has the lead. Bret Hart just hit Shawn Michaels in it with a sight you'd only see in a WWE video game, as Bret Hart just hit Shawn with a crucifix driver. Rights and lefts by the Heartbreak Kid and Bret Hart. Hammerlock, scoop slam, down goes Shawn Michaels. Hammerlock, scoop slam, down goes Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart. Shawn blocked him. Flying forearm. Flying forearm. You gotta wonder, is Shawn avoiding the elbow? Is Shawn avoiding the elbow after failing to deliver the elbow every single solitary time? Every single solitary time that he's done it in this contest, has Shawn gotten in his head that it'd be best to avoid the elbow and stick with what's working, especially now because Shawn Michaels is up 2 falls to 1. Up by 2 falls. Shawn Michaels is up by 2 falls on the Hitman. But Bret Hart is feeling it now. Bret Hart is feeling it now, but Shawn blocks him again. Shawn blocked him again. Shawn blocked him again as Bret rolls to the outside. Shawn follows him. Bret with a fireman's carry takeover takes over Shawn Michaels. Right off the hardest part of the ring. Face first off the hardest part of the ring goes the Heartbreak Kid. Big suplex on the outside. Both men go down. Both men go down. Bret Hart is second-guessing himself. Bret Hart is second-guessing himself. He was second-guessing himself if he wanted the count out. Bret Hart was second-guessing himself if he wanted the count out. You saw the indecision on the face of the Hitman. You saw the indecision on the face of the Hitman. That he was second-guessing himself if he wanted the count out. But Bret took it out of desperation, you gotta figure. Or a win is a win no matter how you get it. I've never actually, honestly, I don't know that I've ever actually done it twice in the span of one match. The punch battles. Diving fist drop off the top by the Heartbreak Kid. Bret surprised Shawn. Bret surprised Shawn. And Shawn kicked out at the Bret surprised Shawn and Shawn kicked out. Drop kick, but Shawn is down. Drop kick, but Shawn is tired. Shawn is exhausted. Shawn is exhausted. Sweet chin music. Can Shawn go back on top? Can Shawn go back on top by 2? 2, 3. Shawn is back on top by 2. But I still believe, beyond question and beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Shawn Michaels wants a submission victory in this match over the Hitman. The abdominal stretch, Bret wants a submission win with the abdominal stretch, but Shawn is fighting. Shawn is fighting as we are introduced to 40 minutes to go. As we are about to hit 40 minutes. As we are about to hit 40 minutes. Meaning 20 minutes to go. I apologize, I was actually looking at the time and looking at Shawn is still fighting. Shawn is still fighting as we are about to hit the 40-minute mark at Bret Hart. Bret Hart finally got Shawn to submit. Bret Hart finally got Shawn to submit. God, that's exhausting sometimes. Right on the button from out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels with the sweet chin music. Right on the button from out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels with the sweet chin music. And Shawn picks the right leg. Shawn picks the right leg as that's the leg that would have been under the ropes. Potentially. But Shawn keeps himself 2 falls ahead. Shawn keeps himself 2 falls ahead of the Hitman. Bret blocked him. Bret goes for the pile driver. Down goes Shawn Michaels. Down goes Shawn Michaels. Bret is measuring him. Shawn can't counter it. Right in the middle of the ring. Or close up. This is the furthest Bret has been away from the ropes in any attempt at a sharpshooter. Shawn Michaels. Bret, a move so nice, he's going back and locking it in. It's a sure thing for Bret Hart. As we are tied 9-9. We are tied 9-9. Big scoop slam on the outside by the Heartbreak Kid. Drops Bret Hart. Sucker ball kick on the outside. Shawn is going for the camel clutch. Shawn is going for the camel clutch. But Bret doesn't let him lock it in. I think Bret just has a sixth sense. Bret just has a sixth sense. Is Shawn gonna get himself counted out? No! Shawn gets himself back in just before the count of 10. These two are using every single solitary point. I don't know how this isn't rope break. I don't know how that wasn't rope break. But either way, Bret Hart is up. Bret Hart is up. Up one as we are approaching 45 minutes to go. Flying forearm by the Heartbreak Kid. Flying forearm by the Heartbreak Kid. And Shawn Michaels is tuning up the band. Shawn Michaels is tuning up the band. Sweet chin music. With the amount of sweet chin music Shawn Michaels is trying to land, he's making sure Bret Hart is going to be going through a straw. But now Shawn Michaels, because of ego, Shawn Michaels is now down 2 falls. Because of ego, Shawn Michaels is down 2 falls. I mean, honestly, Shawn might be down by 3. No, Shawn kicked out. Because of the ego, Shawn is about to be down 2 falls because he should have went for the lateral press after the sweet chin music, but he didn't. He should have went for the lateral press after the sweet chin music, but he didn't. Stun gun. Stun gun. Shawn is actually going for the top rope. Shawn is actually going for the top rope. Elbow for the first time in this matchup. For the first time in this matchup, Shawn Michaels lands the elbow right to the heart of the Hitman. For the first time in this match, Shawn Michaels lands the elbow right on the heart of the Hitman, and right in the middle of the ring, Shawn Michaels has the crossface. Shawn Michaels has the crossface. But Bret Hart still fights out of it. Bret Hart still fights out of it. Bret Hart still fights out of it. I don't even know what to call that move from Bret Hart. Shawn's in the corner. Bret with a corner clothesline takes down the Heartbreak Kid. Hip toss takedown. Bret reverses Shawn. Hyperextending the knee, but again, it shows just how much this match has taken a toll on both these guys. Bret's not hesitating. Bret's not hesitating like Shawn did. Bret went right for the sharpshooter, and Bret got it in. Bret got it down, as we now have 14 minutes to go. 14 minutes to go in this matchup. Bret is now up by 3. Bret has his biggest lead to date. And Shawn is struggling to get himself back in this matchup. Honestly, ever since Shawn let ego play a part, Shawn kicked out. Shawn found a way to kick out. Shawn nips up. Shawn nipped up from out of nowhere. Shawn nipped up from out of nowhere. And he got the sweet chin music. Shawn nipped up from out of nowhere and got the sweet chin music on the Hitman. Shawn nipped up from out of nowhere and nailed Bret Hart with the sweet chin music. Bret Hart reversed him. Shawn reversed him back. It's worked often enough in this matchup for Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart reversed him. Bret Hart with the counter. Shawn counters him back by kicking out. Lariat takedown. Inverted figure 4. Attacking the knee of the Hitman is Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart has gotten 2 countout victories over the Heartbreak Kid in this 60-minute Ironman matchup. Bret gets introduced to the barricade. Shawn sends him back into the ring. Shades of Bret Hart with that one. Hyperextending the knee of the Hitman is Shawn Michaels. Hurricane Rana. Almost 30 minutes into almost an hour in, and Shawn Michaels is still showing us something new. Fist drop off the top rope. Shawn is still down 2 falls. Shawn is still down 2 falls. Holy shit, Bret Hart kicked out! How in the blue hell did Bret Hart kick out? At this point in the matchup, how the hell did Bret Hart kick out? That unquestionably knocked the wind out of the sails of the Heartbreak Kid. I think Bret, it depends on which way he turns. Shawn got saved by rope break again. This is about the 4th time in this matchup that Shawn Michaels got saved via rope break. This is the 4th time in this match that Shawn Michaels got saved via rope break. And you could see the ferocity of Bret Hart turning up. Out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels still has a way, even 50 minutes in. Shawn still has a way, even 50 minutes in, to surprise us. Let her press. Holy shit, Bret Hart kicked out! Holy shit, Bret Hart kicked out! How in the hell did he kick out at this point in the match? How in the hell did he kick out at this point in this matchup? Adios mio! Shawn went for the vaulting body press and crashed and burned on the outside. Twisting pile driver on the outside. Twisting pile driver on the outside by the Hitman. Bret Hart at this point in time just doesn't give a damn. Flying forearm by the Heartbreak Kid. Flying forearm by the Heartbreak Kid. Bret wants to do a pile driver to Shawn. Shawn will do a pile driver to Bret. Crossface on the outside. Crossface on the outside. But Shawn realizes where he's at. And looks for the count-out win. Just like Bret Hart got. He looked for the count-out win. He took the opportunity. He could have gotten Bret in the submission. He could have gotten Bret to submit on the outside. But what good would that have done Shawn Michaels? Instead, he took the count-out victory. Look at the blood on the face of these two men. Bret is taking it as an insult that Shawn is trying to get him to submit. He's taking it as an insult. And Shawn again gets the rope break. Shawn again gets the rope break. Shawn again gets the rope break. Bret gets the count as we are 52 minutes. We are at 52 minutes. 7 minutes to go. We just passed the 8-minute mark. Shawn pulls a trigger. And no, Bret blocked it. I thought Shawn might have been going for the sweet chin music. But Bret blocked him. Bret is now just rubbing it in. Bret is now just rubbing it in as Shawn takes him down with a clothesline. Shawn takes him down with a clothesline. Bret gets introduced hard into the corner. You could tell how clean and how caked these two rings are. I mean, the different sides of the ring are, showing just how different this match has been. Swinging neckbreaker by the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn with the roll-up. Shawn with the roll-up. And he got him. Shawn with the roll-up, and he got him. Sweet chin music. Shawn is not going to let Bret get it. Shawn is not going to let Bret get it as he barely crawls into the counter. And Shawn Michaels with a 1, 2, 3 on the Hitman. Bret again with the abdominal stretch. Bret again with the abdominal stretch locked in. Bret is trying to get himself. He's trying to get himself a 1-point lead as we approach 5 minutes to go. Bret is trying to get himself a 1-point lead with 5 minutes to go. But again, Shawn is fighting. Shawn is fighting, and he fights himself out of the abdominal stretch. Shawn fought himself out of the abdominal stretch. Crossbody takedown. Crossbody takedown. For the first time, Shawn Michaels is on the middle rope. Double axe handle off the middle rope. Bret popped back up, but Shawn caught him. Scoop slam, down goes the Hitman. Bret rolls himself to the outside, but that's not going to do either of them any good because it's tied. And we have 5 minutes to go. I think Shawn Michaels was going to use a chair. I think Shawn Michaels was going to use a chair. Wait a second, we might get a double count out. We might get a double count out. We got a double count out. I think Shawn thought he could deliver the sweet chin music and get himself back up before the count. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen. The ring is caked in blood from both these men. The ring, the outside, the entrance ramp, every aspect of this arena. Every aspect of this arena, in some way, shape, or form, is caked with the blood of Shawn Michaels and the Hitman. Bret tried for the ladder press. I think Shawn's too close to the ropes, but I could be wrong. Shawn gets saved again via rope break. Shawn gets saved again via rope break. But Bret, with the pressure, I'm assuming, from the sharpshooter, was able to get a 1-point lead. Bret was able to get a 1-point lead with 3 minutes to go. Shawn goes for the ladder press. Bret got the ropes for the first time this matchup. Bret Hart got the rope break. For the first time this matchup, Bret Hart got the rope break. Bret's under the ropes again. Bret's under the ropes again. These two are dancing. Shawn's got to get one more win. Shawn's got to tie it up. Because right now, Bret Hart has it. Right now, Bret Hart has it in hand. Right now, Bret Hart has it in hand. Crossbody block takes down the Hitman, but Bret Hart pops back up. Back to the scoop and the slam by the Heartbreak Kid. The flying forearm has served him well. The flying forearm has served him well. Fisherman suplex. Shawn's going. He's trying for... He's trying... I think Shawn was trying to get the advantage. I think Shawn was trying for the advantage. And also, I just want to make it clear that after a while, the bloodstains are taken away and replaced by other bloodstains. We are under a minute to go. Under a minute to go. Bret. Shawn was going for the sweet chin music. Bret got the sharpshooter. Bret got the sharpshooter. Bret got the sharpshooter. Bret's got the sharpshooter locked in. Bret's got the sharpshooter locked in. He's got to make haste. Shawn's got to make haste. Sweet chin music. 20 seconds to go. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, draw. The only reason why the match ended in a draw, in my opinion, is because Bret Hart moved out of the ring. Otherwise, Shawn would have been able to go for another lateral press. But the fact of the matter is, WrestleMania 12 ended in a draw with overtime finding the winner to be Shawn Michaels. There is no overtime in WWE 2k24. So with that being said, I just have to ask 2K, add overtime to the Ironman matches to give us the opportunity to have the to recreate this match to a T, because there must be a winner, and it is a little deflating to a degree. Fighting for an hour and having no winner to speak of. But with that being said, that is it from me. And if you want to see more WrestleMania recalls, then let me know down in the comment section below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.